Assalamu alaikum student. I hope you are all are fine. In the anatomy of lecture of the series, today is the lecture number 10, and the lecture number 10 we will go to learn to start the different bones which is involved to make the lower limb. And we covered all the bones which is take the part in the backing or the structure of the upper limb. Now today we will go to start the lower limb. In the lower limb we will start from the this type of the bone which is in the front of you all, and the name of this bone is called the innominate bone, and the other name of this bone is called the pelvic girdle, and the third name of this bone is the layman language is called the hip bone. So this innominate bone or the pelvic girdle bone, which is at the front of you all, it is made up by the two type of the bones. It is made up by the two type of the bone. The upper portion of this bone, which is broader in shape, which is look like the shape of the elephant ear, and this portion of this bone of the innominate or the pelvic girdle bone, which is a flat in a structure, this is called the ilium portion, and this is type of the flat bone. And another bone which is make the structure of the inferior portion of this innominate bone, the posterior and the interior parts, anterior lateral parts of this pelvic girdle. And these two type of the bone is, one is called the ischium and the second one is called the pubis, and these both are the bone are the type of the irregular bone. So the innominate bone is made up by the three types of the bone, the types of the bone, the flat bone, and the two are the irregular bone. But the name of this bone, the superior portion of this bone, which is flat in structure, is called the ilium, and the interior bone, which is irregular in shape, this is called the pubis, and the back side, which is make the posterior side of this bone, inferior and posterior side of this bone, is called the ischium. Now how you will go to under the right side of the lower limb or the left side of the lower limb. So you look, here is a greater sciatic notch is here. Is a greater notch is here, and this greater sciatic notch hold this bone like a pistol. This sciatic notch always keep on the posterior side. This sciatic notch keep on the posterior side, and this acetabulum cavity keep on the lateral side. This acetabulum cavity, this is the acetabulum cavity, is keep on the lateral side, and keep the pubic, and this keep the pubic on the lateral interior side and the interior side. Then you can identify this bone is belong to the right side or the left side. So this bone is belong to the left lower limb. Now we will go to learn about the different features of the innominate bone, which is we will learn on the diagrammatic structure on the blackboard. So now let's see. This is these are the here in the acetabulum. It's become these three types of the bone are unite or make a junction over here. The upper portion is, which is the flat in structure, which is I told you in the shape of the ear elephant, like a give the shape of give the look like the ears of the elephants. So this portion is, this total portion is called the ilium. This total part is called the ilium, and this part, which is called the pubis. The pubis bone, and this one is ischium bone. The posterior portion ischium bone, the interior side of the posterior portion is the pubis, and the upper portion, which is the major 2/3 portion of this bone, which is a flattened structure. This bone, this type of the bone is called the ilium. Now we will go to start at at the superior portion of the ilium bone. Now this is the posterior parts, and this is the inferior parts. This portion is the inferior and this one is the posterior. Now in the upper portion you see this is the rough ligament structure, and this rough ligament structure is called the iliac crest. Iliac crest. The upper portion of the bone of the ilium from the interior towards the posterior, the rough like structure which is irregular in shape and rough like structure, this is called the iliac crest. And this iliac crest has the two lips. The lips which is present on the interior side, on the external side, this is called the external or it is called the lateral lips. And the other lips which is present on the posterior side, the posterior side is called the posterior or internal lips of iliac crest. So iliac crest have the two lips, and the one is on the external side, on the lateral side of the iliac crest. This is called the external lips or the lateral lips, and the interior lips, which is called the interior lips, not the interior lips. Iliac crest have the two lips. One is called the external or the interior lips. The other lips of the iliac crest, which is on the posterior side, this is called the posterior or the internal lips of the iliac crest. Now, when the iliac crest has reached at the two-third of the portion of towards the interior side, it's make a tubercle, and this tubercle is called the iliac tuberosity or tubercle. Iliac tuberosity. Iliac tuberosity. This one is called the iliac tuberosity. Now we will come up on the posterior side of the iliac crest. When the iliac crest reach at the posterior side, it's make a two spine here. These are the two spine. This spine is called the posterior superior iliac spine. Posterior superior iliac spine, yeah, you can call the superior posterior iliac spine, and then the inferior superior iliac spine. Okay, posterior superior iliac spine, inferior iliac spine. Between of these two spine is called the interspinal notch. Interspinal iliac notch. Interspinal iliac notch. And this is called the interspinal iliac notch. Okay, the same at the interior side, it is again the two spine is here, and this spine is called the superior interior iliac spine, and this one is the lower one. The lower one is called inferior iliac spine. Again, between the two spine is called the between these two is called the interspinal spinous iliac notch. Okay, this notch on the interior side and this notch on the posterior side. Now, just below of the inferior iliac spine, just below of the inferior iliac spine on the posterior border. On the posterior border is a greater notch is over here, and this notch from here to here is a notch is here, and this notch is called the greater sciatic notch. Greater sciatic notch. This is called the greater sciatic notch. When the greater sciatic notch, this posterior border goes to downward when it reach at the acetabulum, at the end of the acetabulum cavity, it make a spine over here, and this spine is present on the ischium bone, on the parts of the ischium bone. So it is called the ischial spine. Ischial spine. This is called the ischial spine. On the posterior side, the greater notch goes to downward. It make a spine over here on the ischium bone, so it is called the ischial spine. Just at the below of the ischial spine is another notch is here. Is another, you are looking here, is a make the another notch is here, and this notch is called the lesser sciatic notch. Greater sciatic notch. This one is the greater sciatic notch, and this one is the lesser sciatic notch. When just below of the lesser sciatic notch, this the ischium bone, the parts of the ischium bone will goes to start over here. Now, in the posterior side, from here, from this yellow color till to this yellow lining, this portion of the posterior side of the innominate bone is called which is the type of the irregular bone. This bone is called the ischium bone. The ischium bone has the three parts. The superior ramus will goes to unite with the ilium bone, and this is the inferior ramus of the ischium bone, and this is the body and the tubercle part of the ischium bone. This is the rough in structure which is present on the posterior side of the ischium bone, which is rough in structure. This is called the tuberosity of the ischium bone. On the tuberosity of the ischium bone, the rough-like structure, this is called the tuberosity. Tuberosity of the ischium bone. Of the ischium bone. Now, when we come up on the interior side of the innominate bone, this again is made up by the interior side of the interior and lateral side of the innominate bone is made up by another irregular bone, and this irregular bone is called the pubis. And the pubis again is the pubis has the three parts: the superior ramus, the superior ramus from here till to the here. This is called the superior ramus, and the superior ramus will goes to unite with the ilium bone, and this one is called the inferior ramus. Inferior ramus. This is portion is called the inferior ramus, and this portion is called the superior ramus, and this portion of the a pubic is called the body of the pubis bone. Body of the pubis bone. This portion is called the body of the pubis bone. And just of the body of the pubis bone is the articular surface is here. And this articular surface is called the pubic symphysis. This articular surface, this one, this articular surface which is present on the interior side of the body of the pubis bone, this is called the pubic symphysis. And both are the innominate bone comes together and join with each other to make the pubic symphysis joint. And the pubic symphysis joint is the type of the cartilaginous joint. And the cartilage joint, the slightly movement is possible between both of the bone. Just at the middle of this bone, you are looking here. In the middle of below of the is a cavity is here, and this cavity-like structure is called this cavity-like structure, which is present in the middle of this bone, which is a socket and a structure. This one you are looking here. This is the cavity-like structure and the socket, and this total is called the acetabulum cavity. This is called the acetabulum cavity. This one. Acetabulum cavity. In the acetabulum cavity, you are looking here is the C-shape, C-shape like structure. And this C-shape like structure are the horseshoes like structure, which is concave in shape, and this called the acetabulum facet. Acetabulum facet area. In the center of the acetabulum is a fossa is here, and this called the acetabulum fossa. In the center of the acetabulum is a fossa is here. It is called the acetabulum fossa or acetabulum meatus. The ligament, the acetabulum ligament, the ligament of the head of the femur bone will come up and join over here to make the ball and socket joint of the ball of socket joint make a more stronger. When the head of the femur bone comes in the glenite in the acetabulum cavity to make the ball and socket joint, and the name of this joint is called the femoral acetabulum joint, yeah, femoral pelvic joint, and the common name of this joint is called the pelvic joint, or the name of the another name of this joint is called the hip joint. But the actual is called the femoral acetabular joint. Now just at the inferior side of this acetabulum facet is a notch is here, and this notch you are looking here, see over here is a notch is here, and this notch is called the acetabulum notch, and this notch is called the acetabulum notch. This is acetabulum notch. Acetabulum notch is here. Now, in the just below of the acetabulum cavity, acetabulum cavity is a greater foramen is here. The greater foramen is here, just below of the acetabulum cavity. At the front and between the ischium bone and the pubic bone is a foramen is here, and this foramen is called the obturator foramen. This called the obturator foramen. Obturator foramen, and this is the obturator foramen. Just at the interior of the obturator foramen, this one is called the obturator foramen. At the obturator foramen, just at the inferior side is the obturator groove over here, and from this obturator groove is the obturator nerve or obturator artery will be passed through from it. Okay, this is the all about the different feature which is present, different parts of the innominate bone which is present on the different border and the different surfaces of the innominate bone or the pelvic girdle. Now we will come of the some surface area, which area is for the which particular type of the muscles is attached over here. Now, if in the ilium bone on the lateral side, on the lateral surface of the ilium bone, you are looking here is a three type of the line is here. These are the three types of the line. The line which is present, these are the line which is present on the posterior side. The posterior side, this is called the posterior gluteal line. Posterior gluteal line. This one is called the posterior gluteal line. Now in the middle one, in the interior view, another line is here, and this line is called the interior gluteal line. Interior gluteal line. And the lower side, from the superior anterior iliac spine, the another line is goes towards the downward in the lower side, just above of the is acetabulum QT. It will goes to at the greater sciatic notch. This another line is here, and this line is called the posterior gluteal line. Posterior gluteal line. Posterior gluteal line and the interior gluteal line and inferior gluteal line. This one called the inferior gluteal line. These are the three lines. Okay, one is called the posterior gluteal line, the interior gluteal line, and the third one, which is start from the superior iliac spine goes towards the at the greater sciatic notch. This line is called the inferior gluteal line. Now, at the area at the posterior gluteal line, from posterior gluteal line towards the posterior superior iliac spine, this area is for the attachment of the gluteal maximus muscle. Maximus muscle is attached over here. The posterior gluteal line, from the posterior gluteal line towards the posterior superior iliac spine and till to the interior spinal iliac notch. This whole area is for the attachment of this area is covered with the attachment of the gluteal maximus muscles. Now, just at the front of the posterior gluteal line and the interior gluteal line, this whole area is for the attachment of the gluteal medius muscle. Gluteal medius muscle. This whole area just at the front of the posterior gluteal line and till to the interior gluteal line, this whole area is covered with the attachment of the muscle, and the name of this muscle is called the gluteal medius muscle. Now, at the front of the interior gluteal line and till to the inferior gluteal line area, this whole area is for the attachment of the another muscle is here. This whole area is for the attachment. This whole area is covered with the attachment of the another area, another muscle, and the name of this muscle is called the gluteal minimus muscle. Maximus muscle, the gluteal medius muscle, and gluteal minimus muscle. So the three area is covered by the three types of these three muscles make the gluteal muscles. Now in the iliac crest, if you see on the iliac crest, in the iliac crest it has the three borders, okay, and the three borders, the posterior side is the posterior side just at the above of the posterior gluteal line is this area is for the latissimus dorsi muscle. Latissimus dorsi muscles are attached over there. Just at above of the gluteal line, posterior gluteal line, this area on the iliac crest is for the attachment of the latissimus dorsi muscle. The abdominal, we have, I told you earlier, the iliac crest have the two lips. One is lips are the interior iliac crest lips, or the second one is the posterior or internal iliac crest lips. In the interior and the interior external iliac crest lips, it is for the attachment of the abdominis interus muscles. Abdominis interus muscle is attached over here. On the external, on the posterior and the posterior external, posterior internal iliac crest lips, this area is for the attachment of the abdominis externus muscles is attached over here. Now in the superior iliac spine, in the interior superior iliac spine, this is the interior superior iliac spine, this is the inferior interior iliac spine. This superior interior iliac spine, this area on the interior side is for the this area is for the attachment of the sartorius muscle. This is called the sartorius muscle, and these sartorius muscles start from here, superior interior iliac spine. From the interior side goes towards the medial side of your thigh and will goes to attach on the tibia bone. So this is the longest muscles in our body, the sartorius muscle. Just at the below of the superior interior iliac spine is the inferior interior iliac spine, this area, and just above of the acetabulum cavity, just below of the inferior gluteal line, these both area, these and this inferior iliac spine, these both area is for the attachment of the rectus femoris muscle. The rectus femoris muscles is attached over here. Now we will come up